Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
It's a bye week for Utah as Kyle Whittingham gets his squad ready for the second half of the season. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Win Ticket Wednesday. Win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone with Win Ticket Wednesday. Coming up next week, you can win Fast Pass VIP tickets to Nightmare on 13th. One location, 2 haunted attractions. Nightmare on 13th, where Halloween lives. Get $10 off nighttime attractions by using discount code ZONE. And listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Your kids are kind of, in that age, getting into that age where haunted houses are the thing. Does that mean you go?
My fiance, we went to Laguna on Sunday, and I was like, great, Frightmares, we'll hit it up. She wouldn't go in. She wouldn't go do a haunted house. So I love haunted houses.
Uh-huh.
Not
her thing.
Not her thing, so she won't go. My kids will start to get there. My son, I think at 13, is probably in that age now. Probably needs to get invited by some friends. He probably wouldn't suggest it, but he would follow his friends if they were doing it. And then I think he'll get the bug.
I've never really been haunted house person, admittedly so, but that does not mean I have not been to haunted houses, Ben, because there are few other really fun group activities.
It's great.
Around this time of year, if you're probably a person of any age, but certainly like a youngish person, like always getting into the teen years, you get in that high school group, or even college, you're looking for something. Anyway, I have been to haunted houses, not because I love them, but because they are a spectacular group activity.
And Nightmare on 13th is particularly good.
They know what
we are notoriously good for having haunted houses here that are well executed, and it is a good one.
Because they are popular. I realize that I'm in the minority.
They are really
this,
popular.
Opinion, yeah.
I mean, to the point that they open every Friday the 13th that we have throughout the year, and there's always, 2 or 3.
Do they really?
Yeah. They will open specifically for those nights or those weekends for Friday the 13th.
Huh.
So.
We are hoping to talk to Steve Bartle.
We'll see.
Who covers the Utes for KSLSports.com. It is a bye week for the Utes, but I do think there is certainly relevant stuff out there as they get ready to go into what should be a pretty difficult stretch in their schedule. In fact, the man himself is ready. Let's get to it. Go ahead, Christian.
Covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute Insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hello, Steve. Happy bye week.
Yeah, happy bye week, fellas.
Would you say it comes at a good time? And I don't mean just for Steve, but maybe for Steve. Also for the University of Utah, you think they're happy to have it when they did?
Yeah, I think the University of Utah is really happy to have a bye this weekend. And, through the first 5 games, it's been pretty good outside of the Texas Tech, the final 8 minutes in that game. I think there's been a lot of positive things, positive developments. And on the injury front specifically, I think it comes at just the right time, to get right, to get a couple guys in particular, some much needed rest and rehab time to get ready for this next phase of the schedule. And I think that's important. And I think, we've learned quite a bit about Utah, but still a lot to kind of discover about this team over these next few weeks.
I thought it was interesting, and I think Ben and I will dive a little bit more into this next week, but I feel like a storyline with the offense, Steve, is how fast that they go. I feel like Jason Beck wants some tempo. I mean, that's the background he comes from, and I feel like Kyle Whittingham doesn't want tempo all the time. Although if you heard him on Monday, and I know you were there, but the quote about this was really funny, where he was like, well, sometimes it's good, not all the time. And it was interesting to hear him talk about it. But are we going to see them go faster, I guess, given the success they had against West Virginia?
I think the mixture of tempos has really worked well for Utah. And I think they've found sort of a good balance when things are clicking and the offense is, staying on the field and sustaining drives. They have they found this sort of nice kind of middle ground where they're getting to the line in a hurry, but they're taking their time and they're taking some seconds off of the clock each and every snap. So that way, you're getting to play, 10, 15, play 20, I think was one of these drives, and you're getting to, 10 minutes of time of possession. And I think that is what Whittingham loves. I'll never forget his subtle reaction when asked about that 20-play, 10-minute drive against UCLA. He just had this sort of smirk where you could tell like he absolutely loved that drive. And I think, with Beck, to your point, he clearly comes from, an offensive background that likes to play with tempo, likes to play with pace. And I think for Devin Dampier, that works well, works well for him too. And, when the Utah offense is clicking and humming, they're playing with that tempo. They're getting to the line of scrimmage, quickly. And yet, like I said, I think they're finding a good balance of, playing with tempo, but then also eating some clock as well. And I think that's all that Whittingham wants. And when you're sustaining drives like this offense has, when it's playing well, it's doing a lot to, keep the defense on the sideline to give them rest. And I think that's really what Utah needed. And what was missing last year, when we talk about the struggles of 2024, obviously the injuries and all that, but Utah just couldn't play complementary football where they could give the defense some rest and sustain drives. And I think that's sort of been an element that's been really helpful for Utah this season.
What has been a surprise maybe for you and maybe even that you've gotten a sense from the team through the first 4 weeks?
Man, what a great question. I think the biggest surprise, for me would be Ryan Davis. And with the understanding that we all talked about, the chemistry that he had with Devin Dampier. And I think we just sort of took it for granted what that would actually mean on the field and what it would translate to in terms of production. So I think that's been a pleasant surprise, is seeing him be this sort of lead receiver that Utah's needed, right? 36 receptions, 348 yards, a couple touchdowns. And we saw last week against West Virginia that he can do more than just catch these quick, speed outs and that he can get downfield and he can run routes, like a crafty veteran, like he is. And so I think that's been a pleasant surprise. And then, I think for the majority of the fan base, there were a lot of questions about the tight end position. And to see this group utilized in the manner that it has been with Dallin Bentley, leading, I shouldn't say leading, but he's at the top of the conference when you talk about receiving production for tight ends. I think he's number 2 in receptions, number 2 in yards, and number 4 in yards per game for tight ends in the Big 12. He's been a guy that we've talked about the last couple seasons as a potential breakout candidate, and it just hasn't come to be because he's had to deal with these nagging injuries. And I think for him, to have this sort of start through 5 games has certainly caught some people by surprise. But even beyond Dallin Bentley has been the usage of that tight end position, given what Beck was coming from at New Mexico, where they didn't have really tight ends to use, and so it was just kind of a question mark. But this tight end group continues to have a strong presence, at Utah, and that's going to continue moving forward with Bentley playing the way that he is, and with some of the other guys that they have in that room. Obviously, they lost Hunter Andrews, which is a tough one to replace, but you've got other guys, Lander Barton getting some snaps there, and I think that's been really good for Utah and a pleasant surprise when talking about this back offense.
So let me ask you a 2-part question, Steve. How many losses do you think it's going to take to get into the title game? Do you think you're going to have one? Do you think you can still get in with 2 and some luck? What do you think off the top of your head?
Yeah, I think, when looking at the schedule, I think Texas Tech, man, they've got a really nice schedule that sets up well for them. And they took care of business in Salt Lake City. And so I shouldn't say but I think that they've got an easy route where they can get through the conference schedule. And at worst, you're looking at it where they could maybe drop one, a surprise game maybe. And then, the other team that sort of had an easy schedule was Iowa State. But the thing with them now is they're dealing with a growing injury report where they're losing some really key pieces. They lost their 2 starting cornerbacks last week for the season, and suddenly, the outlook for them doesn't look quite as strong. So I'm of the belief that, 2 losses can get you in, but it's going to be about who you beat and who you have those tiebreakers over to get into that Big 12 title game. I think Texas Tech gets in. Just given their schedule, I think that, like I said, they may drop one, but I think, for that other spot, you'll need maybe 2 losses, but those wins and who you have the tiebreakers over are going to be pretty important.
So where are the most likely losses then on the remaining of the schedule? Arizona State at BYU, Colorado at home, Cincinnati at home, at Baylor, Kansas State at home, and at Kansas. If Utah's going to stay alive, what are the games that are highlighted that may be most in doubt?
Yeah, we talked about this last night on the Utah broadcast. We ranked the remaining games by difficulty, and at the top is the BYU game. Going into Provo, LaVell Edwards Stadium, that's going to be a really tough game for Utah to pull out. Given the way that the Cougars are playing and that home crowd advantage that they have down there, so that's going to be a tough one. But then that's actually, when you look at ESPN, FPI, which isn't always the best, and their matchup predictor, that's the only game that they're projected to lose. The other tough one which is surprising, is actually the game at Kansas Thanksgiving week, Friday morning. And I think there's context around that makes that game more difficult than just the on-paper matchup, where you're looking at these 2 teams, the talent level, what the 2 teams are doing on offense and defense. I think that really favors Utah. But again, just kind of given the situation of that being the Black Friday morning game, traveling, the morning of, or not, I shouldn't say the morning of, but traveling that week is going to be tough. And I think that is going to be a sneaky tough game. And then another one too, obviously Arizona State coming to Rice-Eccles next week, reigning Big 12 champs. That's going to be a difficult one. But that Colorado game the week after BYU is going to be a sneaky tough matchup, because Colorado is going to be coming off of a bye week. And we know that rivalry game between Utah and BYU, it's taxing. It's taxing physically, mentally. It takes a toll. And there's, to have that Colorado game the week after, and they're coming off a bye, I think that ups the difficulty of that game as well. So, this isn't an easy pass for Utah. They've got difficult matchups throughout the next, 7 games. Each one presents its own unique set of challenges. But I think, in terms of the most difficult matchups, you're looking at that BYU game. You're looking at, obviously, Arizona State being the reigning champs. And then you've got the road game at Kansas is kind of a sneaky, difficult one as well.
Utah got seemingly pretty beat up against West Virginia. Seemed like a lot of injuries. I know some guys came back into the game, but you mentioned Hunter Andrews, who we know is out for the season. Are you expecting most people to be back a couple of weeks from now, or I guess I should say next weekend?
Yeah, I think, again, with this bye week, it came at just the right time for Utah, because you had a couple injuries in that game against West Virginia. Jackson Benny was one. I was told that he could have played in that second half if they needed him, but fortunately Utah had put that game so far out of reach that you could afford to sit him. So to get him a whole week off to rest and rehab, I think is big. Dallas Vakalahi was another player that left the game with an injury. I was told that was more a retweak of his previous injury. And so again, to get him a whole week off of rehab, I think there's been positive trends for Utah on the injury front. Aliki Vamahi is another guy that actually sat out the West Virginia game. And then Carson Kafusi, the true freshman defensive tackle, was listed as questionable the week before. Could have played, had they needed him against West Virginia, but fortunately they didn't need to play him. And he was able to kind of, get by that week. So for him, that helps him as well to kind of get right. So I think, and again, the bye week came at just the right time for guys to rehab and recoup. And I think, from what I've gathered this week, that there's positive trends on the injury front for Utah.
Steve, we appreciate you and all of your fine work. Thanks for jumping on with us, buddy.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks,
You too.
Steve.
The one and only Steve Bartle covers the Utes for KSLSports.com, and he's nice enough to jump on with us on Fridays. Coming up next, Ben, a Super Bowl champion quarterback who is in town to be honored for a terrific reason. We're really excited to talk to Jeff Hostetler. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's a Friday night battle in Provo as the undefeated Cougars square off against West Virginia. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. We're hoping to talk to Jeff Hostetler in a mere matter of moments. He's going to be at the BYU West Virginia game tonight. Apparently, they're taking him through Heber.
The beautiful part of the world.
That's where he's going to hopefully jump on with us. But that's
Christian, I know the issue. He seems to be trying to connect him through his cell phone. She's not going to work for our radio.
honestly, though, if you've got to get somebody from the Salt Lake Airport, which I don't know if he just flew in, I'm just assuming that, but to the campus of BYU, I'd drive him through Heber.
That's the pretty.
Yeah,
that's the pretty way.
if we want to put our best foot forward, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, Point of the Mountain has its charm,
It does?
but Heber not as much as Heber.
Yeah, right through the canyon and
Go see Park City,
then down through, what is it, Provo Canyon?
past Sundance.
Stop and have lunch at Sundance.
Yeah,
Sounds pretty sweet.
we live in a good state, man.
If you're trying to impress Jeff Hostetler, that's not a bad way to go.
And who isn't?
Man, what an interesting story for a guy. I really am excited to talk to him. Ben, I don't know how old you were in 91, but I was
5 years old.
I was right kind of at the end of my beginning of my sports fandom. Mm-hmm. And what a big story it was that Phil Simms got hurt at the beginning of the season because the Giants were expected to be Super Bowl contenders. Remember Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick was the defensive coordinator. Lawrence Taylor is one of those situations, not unlike BYU is in, where they had just a really good team, and then QB1 was not available.
Bledsoe and Brady.
And Jeff stepped in as QB2 and won a dang Super Bowl.
Yep.
I mean, pretty amazing.
Yep.
Like it's like the Jonathan Moxon story in real life.
Okay.
No idea?
Nope.
No clue? It was, what's his name? Dawson's character's name in that MTV-produced football movie. You remember what I'm talking about?
No.
Nothing? Dawson. What was Dawson's name, Lloyd? Yeah, I'm talking about Varsity Blues. What was that guy's name? Yeah, John Moxon, but there was the actor. James Vanderbeek.
That's right.
His character was the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
You guys are killing me here. He was really good. Everybody thought the season was over. He stepped in. He played well. The real-life Jonathan Moxon.
Christian, Dawson's Creek was a very popular show amongst what?
I never got into old Dawson's Creek.
Post 90210 teens, right? It was kind of the next
I
generation.
loved 90210.
Sure, but you're borderline Gen X. You're
So
like
I'm
very
too
old
old for
millennial, late Gen X. Yeah, it is probably my era, Dawson's Creek. I never watched it. I didn't catch that. Or
That
Party
wasn't
of
your
Five.
thing?
That wasn't quite my thing.
Did you have a thing? Like a show?
That age, it's probably still The Simpsons or something silly. No, I didn't really have a weekly. I like The Practice. You know what I mean, Law and Order. But no, not like teeny bopper drama.
The Practice was good. All right, we're having trouble.
Hey, Christian, if we don't get Jeff on, don't come back Monday.
God, easy.
What?
What's that all about?
You've been teasing Jeff all day.
I have been,
It's
Jimmy.
embarrassing.
It's a huge
There's
guest.
a lot of egg on our face right now, and it's on
There is
Christian.
not. Jeff Hostetler can stand up whoever he wants. He's Jeff freaking Hostetler. And by the way, he can stand up whoever he wants, and we're still going to get his message out because it is awesome.
It is a good message.
He's being honored at the game tonight, BYU, West Virginia. Of course, Jeff played at West Virginia as the 2025 Community Change Maker of the Year, presented by the Cook Center for Human Connection. And Jeff has created the QB United group, Ben, which is a unique alliance of current and former NFL quarterbacks using their platform to address suicide prevention and mental health. They launched the Stay Here campaign in 2023, which featured 50-plus NFL quarterbacks and reached over 250 million people. So he's doing an incredible amount of good. Partnered with the Cook Center for Human Connection, which is a Utah-based nonprofit. And so they're going to honor Jeff at halftime, which is well earned. This is super cool. I'm bummed we're having trouble getting the connection.
He has talked about a lack of mental health awareness and support when he was a quarterback and among quarterbacks in the NFL, and has used his platform and his understanding of the lack of that discussion to also help kids, which really, again, just extraordinarily important and critical, and grateful to have people like that who make time for that. That's a great second act in your career.
And in fact, Jeff's appearance on the show sparked an off-air conversation between you and I, which I found helpful on this particular matter. Mm-hmm. So if Jeff or us talking about it or whatever can inspire some conversation out there about how to prevent suicide and help people's mental health, then all the better, because I think it's a huge, huge deal. And our conversation was based around our kids and when to have conversations and what to do. And I feel like people should be talking about these sorts of things. So glad Jeff is being honored at the game. Bummed if we can't get a hold of him. But still, it's a really, really cool thing.
And you and I were doing the exact thing of saying, like, when do you talk to him about him? When do you talk to your kids? I have a 13-year-old. You have a 9-year-old.
An 8-year-old. And a 4-year-old.
Yeah, mine's almost 10. It's like, when is too early? He's got a website, parentguidance.org.
Parentguidance.org.
That's exactly what this is for. Mental health resources for parents helping their kids.
And if you're going to the game tonight, give Jeff a warm welcome.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, give him a warm welcome. That is very cool. So it would have been fun to have a Super Bowl champion on the show, but maybe today's not the day. I hope it is, because he's driving through Heber, because that means he's taking in some of the best Utah has to offer.
Is there a chance Christian was just lying to us about this whole setup?
No, he would have.
Guys!
Oh, he could have.
I've got a Hostetler. Jeff Hostetler is going to be on the show. What a random name to make up, Christian.
There's no way that I would make that up.
Have you ever thought about being like, I called, I couldn't get a guest?
Yeah, I have done that to you guys.
Well, Christian didn't invent the promotion. I mean...
Did you ever do that as a producer?
What? Invent a guest?
Fail to get a guest and just lie about, I tried.
No, I never
You didn't think you ever tried? Oh, interesting.
You're such a liar.
Yeah, you're a liar. You absolutely did.
I never did that. Are you kidding? You have to maintain...
you have to be a real dishonorable person to do that,
No.
Christian.
In all honesty, you have to maintain relationships with guests and things like that, too, as a producer. Yeah. And if you just throw them under the bus for not showing up, that affects your relationship with them. And in theory, it's a good reason why you didn't land them, and you don't want to ruin that relationship going forward. Not to do producer 101. But, yeah, I don't think I ever lied about that.
So I was a really...
Lloyd, are you lying about that? Salazar?
I probably hold the banner of being the worst radio producer in sports history. I was really bad at it. I'm bad at running the board. I was horrible at booking guests. I booked one guest in my life. Now, to be fair, our late friend Will Smith was the lead producer, and I was kind of a number two when there used to be apparently enough money to have two producers in every room. I booked one guest ever in my life, and it was Brandon Davies, and I felt pretty good about getting Brandon Davies.
That's a good get.
That was a very good get. And it was post all the issues at BYU. It was once he was in the NBA, so I felt really good about getting Brandon Davies. I went one for one. But I didn't try that hard because I was not a good producer.
And by the way, why would Christian have to lie to us? It's not like we would rant and rave and threaten his job. I guess
I
he did.
threatened his
earlier.
job
literally just told me to not come in Monday.
Yeah, but Ben doesn't have that kind of authority.
Probably not. That's why I wield it. That's at least why I throw it around.
Yeah, but like it's would he really fear your wrath enough to lie to you about booking a guest?
Christian? He said
yeah, hence the situation we're in.
Hence faking getting Jeff Hostetler on the show.
Wow. All right. I guess you're kind of intimidating, Ben. Does that make you happy?
Yeah, I've never had much power in my life, so to have any little bit now, it went straight to my head.
Well, yeah, I know. Danny Ainge walked up to you straight away during a break the other day, and you haven't shut up about it since.
I've been telling Christian every break.
Every single one.
I was talking to my friend Danny.
Danny just came up and said, "Hey, Ben, glad you're in break. Wanted to bend your ear about a few things." I mean, how could that not go to your head?
Yeah, well, Christian's feeling the wrath.
Well, that's a Christian problem, I guess. All right, stay tuned. We wrap up the show. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's a Friday night battle in Provo as the undefeated Cougars square off against West Virginia. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We have made the connection. We are very excited about our next guest, Ben. He will be honored at tonight's BYU West Virginia game as the 2025 Community Change Maker of the Year. Of course, he was a West Virginia Mountaineer, went on to the NFL, became a two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. Ben, he's thrown for 16,430 yards, not to mention 94 touchdowns. No big deal. We welcome Jeff Hostetler to the Jake and Ben Show. Jeff, thank you so much for a few minutes.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, guys. How are you all?
We're doing terrific. We were talking in our last segment about what a cool opportunity this is for us to recognize, A, what you've been able to do with QB United. And we talked a little bit about the background, but can you give us some understanding of what you have set up, kind of how you got here and how you help people?
Sure. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me on. I played in the NFL for 15 years and know a lot of quarterbacks and seen a lot of quarterbacks. And these guys off the field do some amazing things, each one individually. But what I was looking for was something that we could do together and lend each other's voice together as a unit and try to make a difference, try to have an impact. And we started with an issue that I think affects probably everyone one way or another. We've all been touched by it, and that was the mental health part, the suicide prevention. And we just thought out of the blue, I want to know how and what could we do as quarterbacks to have an impact and to try to make it simple, but have an impact. Use our voice together and try to influence, try to have people join us in the fight against suicide. And every 40 seconds, someone dies from suicide, and it's a huge issue. And so I started one day just calling quarterbacks. My first guy that I called right out of the gate was Joe Namath, and I called. He took the call, which. I heard that voice on there, and I'm thinking, holy cats, what am I going to say? And, this is a guy that I've looked up to for a long, long time, and I just kind of threw it out there. Hey, Joe, would you be interested in a 10-second video? Just give me a 10-second video. We'll have a couple things that you could say, but speak from the heart. And he said, hey, I'm in. And he had been impacted by suicide. And so I made a bunch of calls out of the blue. 57 guys responded. We probably have 22, 24 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, MVPs, Hall of Famers. 7 decades of quarterbacks responded back and provided a little 10-second video. And we put all those videos together to help influence and help impact in a positive way our program, which was just to bring awareness to it and reduce the stigma. So the program was called Stay Here, and we we were really just trying to get it out on social medias, and we ended up reaching over 225 million right off the bat. And so we've taken that video and we've just tried to apply it in different areas. And that's where we hooked up with the Cook Center and Greg and Julie Cook and Ann Brown and Mark Welling at the Cook Center, because they've got a program that they've been looking at trying to get into schools to help our kids, to help our teachers, and to help our parents recognize some of the signs, get information as to how do you approach it, how do you speak it, and to be educated by it, and hopefully we make a difference. And so we've been able to hook up with the Cook Center, and we have made our way into different states, into different school districts, and that's our goal, is just to some way, somehow let someone know that they're worth it, that they're valuable, that we need them. And as parents and as educators and as friends and relatives, we want to be able to know what we're seeing, know what we're looking for, so that maybe that kind word, that phone call, that pat on the back, that word of encouragement might make the difference. So I know I've rambled here, but that's sort of it in a nutshell.
Well, we want to talk about how people can get involved, and we will bring it home. But, Ben, we do have an NFL legend with us on the line. I got to ask you, what was it like to be on truly one of the NFL's great teams? I mean, I was talking to Ben off the air. I was like, you remember Dave Meggett? I mean, Lawrence Taylor, Bill Parcells. I mean, what is it like to look back and say, man, that team was pretty good?
Well, I tell you, I played 15 years and played with a lot of different guys. Played against a lot of different guys, a lot of Hall of Famers in that. I was blessed to be able to be part of that team. In 5 years, we won 2 Super Bowls, and that's pretty amazing. It was a great group of guys that really worked together and, never quit. And, there are going to be rough times throughout the season, but the ones that are standing at the end, they've done some things. They've rallied around each other, and they've made it through some of the real tough times and come out at the end. So I've been blessed that way. Been blessed to play with a lot of guys, and LT and defensively we were stacked across the board, and offensively, we were a bunch of no names, but we were a tough physical team that you knew after the game that you had played the Giants. So. I'm really fortunate to be part of that organization and having won 2 Super Bowls.
What was Al Davis like?
Al was he was a football nut. I mean, he loved the Raiders. He loved football. He was really, really involved with the team, and sometimes that might not have been the best scenario, but he loved his players for sure. And, that organization had a lot of history to it, and it was great being part of it. But Al made a lot of history, and Al made sure that he ran the team how he wanted it.
Have you ever been to a game in Provo?
I have not. Really, really looking forward to it. I understand. You guys are undefeated and defensively really stout. A couple really good backers and a defensive coordinator that knows what he's doing. And I hear you have a young quarterback that's actually playing real well. So sounds like you have things going in the right direction.
A little dark tonight by the time the game starts at 8:30, but it's truly one of the most beautiful backstops or backdrops in all of college football. It's a great stadium.
Yeah, really looking forward to it.
How, Jeff, before we let you go, how can our listeners support you? How can they get involved? And what's the best way to kind of make a difference?
Well, we're really trying to have impact on the mental health initiative, and the Cook Center has done some great things with it, with their program, and it's a turnkey program. So there's some ways. Cook Center, and there's ways through QB United. There's our websites on both. But also, if on a personal note, be aware. Make sure that you check up on people. Make sure that you don't assume that they're doing okay. Just check in and talk, and make sure everybody knows it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to have different doubts and things like that. We as friends, teachers, parents, educators, we want to make sure that we're fully aware. So that's my ask is take a good look at everybody around you, and make sure you're aware, and give somebody a pat in the back, arm around them, a hug, tell them how much you appreciate them.
Well, Jeff, it's a real pleasure to have you on the show. Enjoy the game tonight. You're going to find out what a cougar tail is, so prepare
Hope you like donuts.
Prepare yourself
Hope you
for
like
that.
donuts.
But we appreciate what you do and for coming on. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, guys. Great being with you.
Thanks, Jeff. There you go. Super Bowl champion Jeff Hostetler with us here on the Jake and Ben Show. That conversation was a lot of fun. I had to ask the Al Davis question.
Of course.
One of the true characters.
Salazar would have fired you if you didn't ask about the Raiders.
And Salazar was right over there.
He was.
Making sure that we did.
Got his face painted. He's got a sword and a shield for some reason in his hands.
Want to remind you about our friends at Kenny J's Barbecue. They cater, they deliver bold, smoky barbecue no matter the occasion. Check out the catering menu at kennyjsbbq.com for weddings, work, and any event. kennyjsbbq.com.
Christian, good news.
I
Still
saved
got a
my job.
on
He
Monday.
came through, Christian.
Clutch.
Man, I hope you thanked Jeff when he
What's
when he called
amazing,
back in.
so the backstory is he did fake this. He did lie about getting him on. And after threatening his job, within about, 2.5 minutes, you tracked down his contact information and got him on the air.
Well done.
When
Really
I try,
good stuff.
I can be great.
Really good stuff.
Home run, Christian. Home run.
Let's keep that urgency up.
Those Giants teams were really good. Really
Incredible,
good.
yeah.
Those defenses were just amazing.
Yeah.
Lawrence Taylor was an animal. I don't know if there has been a linebacker like him since.
Well, again, there was a level of violence that existed in the NFL at that point that is different than it does now. They have weeded that out on purpose.
Kind of a roller coaster personal life, but on the field.
They could be related.
Yeah, maybe. That mentality I guess you've got to have. So big thanks to Jeff. We will talk to you on Monday. The Jake and Ben Show. Hanson Scotty coming
Thanks,
up next.
Christian.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.